Greetings, everybody, and welcome to episode 60 of the Siblings in Cardboard podcast. I'm your host, Donnie, joined by my buddies / co-hosts, Noah and Thomas. Whether you're a veteran card gamer or a first-timer just testing the waters, we are all Siblings in Cardboard. Gentlemen, how have things been since the last time we talked?
I mean, mainly just armory stuff. We're not really in a flesh and blood slump, even though it might seem like it, because a lot of the events that have been going on haven't really had any coverage.
Kind of had me feeling some kind of way, I'm not gonna lie. I see all these results popping up on Twitter and on Blue Sky here and there, but I'm not as invested in them because I didn't actually see them going on. I didn't know whether or not there was a stream, and we're not getting enough updates for like the top eights and the results and everything. I mean, it's coming out a little bit too slow for my liking.
I know a lot of the guys in the Atlanta area are labbing it up for Calling Portland, which is this weekend. And then
what's the format on that one?
It's Classic Constructed.
Oh, cool.
And then I've been kind of in the lab for Calling Chicago, which is going to be Living Legend, and that's on the second weekend in December. So that's been most of my flesh and blood, other than just normal armory stuff.
I've just been doing normal armory stuff like one time I think I skipped last week. I don't remember, man. I'm still scattered. It is.
It's okay to be scattered. I went to an armory actually this weekend. Crazy enough, I did. I went to on Saturday. I had to meet Justin. I wanted to give him some stuff, as well as I wanted to play some Flesh and Blood. And I went 3-0 as Azalea. It was pretty. I don't want to say it was pretty easy. The first game wasn't actually very easy. We had a newer player there who's playing the Azalea Armory deck. And so it was really fun. I mean, for the first hand, pretty much just told him to lay out the hand. We just play it out together, like, let's just play it out. But he understood the fundamentals and things like that. Not like so new, just the inner workings. So played it really well, had some great dominated attacks, hit me with like an 18 red in the ledger or something. Ooh. I mean, just wild things. And I was just like, I had to go for had all hand of pumps. I had to go for a blind flip, and it was either I win or I lose pretty much on that spot. I did hit a Codex. I did hit him for quite a lot of damage and ripped the cards out. I ended up winning that with a dominated arrow. I played against a Verdance, and it was just, I mean, Azalea was running hot. I did not fire a single red in the ledger the entire day, and I won handily. Granted, it was against a Cilio and against a Verdance after the Azalea, but I was doing, really nice, fun bolt and shot reload mechanic things. I don't know. She was running hot. Like, just pumps were good. I blind flip a lot as Azalea because I'm a gambler, obviously, and they paid off big. So it was fun, though. I just loved it. It was good to play the deck in person. I played a ton of Talishar. I think... Lord, I one day I think I was up till 6 a.m. just playing Azalea over and over and over again. I think I lost one game to a new, and it was so close. But the deck's been running hot, like just wild for me, and I love the way she plays. Like, Azalea always has a turn, but finding like the turn is just so awesome because there's just like such little neat ways you get to cheat cards to places and or create I don't know. It's so much fun. Codexes are fun. Azalea is fun. Very fun. Very fun. Having a good time.
Yeah, I did something a little weird at the armory last night. I took 2 decks with me. I took New, obviously, and that's the deck that I played in the tournament. I only went to tournament at the armory. I went 2-2 with New, but before, as everybody was coming in and trying to get settled in, I was playing against one of our friends, and he was playing Phi into my KO. And everybody that was coming in was giving me a hard time about playing KO. And I was just sitting there rolling dice and doing brute things and having a lot of fun until the final turn of the game when we were both down to 1-1. And I start to panic because he immediately starts with Ravenous Rabble for 4. And I'm like, oh no, a break point. And then I look at my hand and I'm like, oh, I've got the Reckless Swing. No blocks, go to reacts.
Take 2, die.
Brute gaming, man. I mean, it's fun to get something a little different every now and then.
It is. It really is. So much fun.
I've switched completely over now. I'm just Florian pilled, which I think I talked about this briefly last time. Completely different play style of any deck I've really ever played before. Very few of my decks are the block with 2 cards, swing with a card kind of mechanic, or block with 3, swing with 1. So it has been fun, and I guess I've been doing pretty well. I win basically 9 out of 10 games in all the games I've played. So pretty good record. I played against Donnie here on new, and he seems kind of upset about it, but I think it was a little closer than he thinks.
I mean, I lost to Florian twice in the same night.
You now know.
I mean, the first game was really cool though.
You now know that you should just like slam a bunch of flourishes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that would have really made all that much of a difference in the game, but your deck was really grindy, but Trevor's was really cool. So the Channel the Millennium Tree and Scepter of Pain, that was spicy.
So
that was really freaking cool.
That's a pretty standard build of Florian, but what's funny is there's like my build, which I would say should be a standard build of Florian as well. It's funny though, because it's like Trevor's Florian probably has like a 0% win rate into Enigma. Just has no way to even beat her. And then my deck actually is favorable into Enigma, just because of the card choice difference. Because Trevor's playing the much more grindy kill with arcane damage, and my plan is to put down Channel Mount Heroic and punch your face in, and open up enough space where I could just start throwing Felling the Crown over and over again, which is exactly what happened to Donnie. It got to a point where I opened up some space, put a defense reaction in Arsenal, and then just Felling the Crown.
Yeah, you never got a CMH online. I think I ended up.
No, you banished all 3 of them. Yeah. Like I just kept having to block with them, but they block for 3. Sometimes they block for 5. Once the chess piece is online.
Yeah, it turns out that's good enough. It was a really fun game. I mean, that's the kind of Flesh and Blood that I like to play. That's why I switched over to the Assassin class, a while back when Katsu was still running Mask of the Pouncing Lynx and the full Bonds package and everything. I don't like playing wombo combo, that kind of hit or miss kind of gameplay. I want that back and forth. I want that kind of grindy, let's actually play Flesh and Blood. I mean, if it goes to time, then we're doing something wrong, but still, I want to have a decent 30 to 40 minute game,
I played against battle-hardened champion Jeremy Shen on Enigma, and I basically got to do everything my deck was built to do. It was crazy fun. He goes through, he puts out the spectral manifestations, sacks the counters to put out the 10k, and then immediately next turn I Summerfall the 10k. And then he sets up like a Rage Spectre and stuff, and then I Summerfall that too. And then
Summerfall's such gods.
And then he builds another board, and I have a Channel Mount Heroic turn and manage to clear it out. And then he tries to play a Spectral Manifestations to build up tempo again, and I ripple away his Spectral Manifestations. And time walk him. And then he gets me all the way down to 1, and I play Arcane Seeds, go back up to 2, and clear his board because I have a million rune chance. And then he keeps like a card to try to like stabilize, and I ripple away to Spectral Manifestation again. I even drew my hand. I'm like, I'm sorry, Jeremy, I'm high rolling. And he's like, no, I think our decks are just both doing their things. And I'm like, no, man. And he plays Spec Manny, and I go ripple away, and he goes, oh no. And then I Crown of Seeds him. I'm like, no, man, I'm just high rolling.
I also had a really epic high roll last night. It was kind of rude. I played the mirror against one of our other friends, and I don't want to name names for a bad beat story, but it was.
I heard about this.
My deck, it was a new mirror, and I went first. I mean, I lost the die roll, and I was chosen to go first, which is normally not all that great because you want to go second. And I opened up with. I ended up with a Persuasive Prognosis, Transcending, and then Arsenaling a CNC. And in that first turn, I want to say that was the very first turn of the game, I got one of his 6 Chi cards. By the end of the game, I had banished 3 of his Chi cards and almost got a 4th one. and I had some kind of relevant disruption and some kind of relevant on hit literally every single turn. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I want to say I got down to like 22 life, but that's because I wanted to keep my cards. I mean, it was rude, man. I felt bad. I apologized to him like after the game. Like, dude, I don't like doing that to friends.
New isn't terribly reliant on chi, but like if you're looking at kind of like how the math works out in the mirror match, you don't get to do your like blue strike with all modes, right? Because you kind of rely on your chi cards to kind of smoothen that out and make it worth more to do it. And so like you just get mathed out by the other new. And I'm assuming that's what happened. Like
That's pretty much it.
you either beat
It
him
was
up and with a pretty good life total, or the deck difference was just probably monstrous.
usually there is a break in the disruption, and that's when the other new can come back, and it turns into a back and forth game. I actually really enjoy the mirror. We both do. We said that before the game even started. That we both really enjoy the mirror, but sometimes the deck just doesn't miss, and I didn't miss. I had something relevant every single turn until he was forced to block, and at that point the game was basically over because I had an absolutely insurmountable lead. Yeah, it's bad night for that. Bad night for that new.
Yeah, I think he had the unfortunate status of being 0-4.
The honor of being
The honor,
getting the pity pack. I mean,
the honor of 0-4. We all
I
have
don't
those bad nights. I
Hmm.
know I like,
Oh yeah.
man, the first
yeah.
time it happened to me, I was like, man, what am I doing? That I didn't pick up a single game. It can be pretty rough, even though you're playing around friends. Losing every game in an evening can be pretty tough.
Yeah, it's hard on the mental. That's for sure. I mean, when you show up to play and have a good time, I mean, you got to try to focus on having a good time. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know. Flesh and Blood is a very competitive game, and it attracts very competitive people,
Mm-hmm.
very competitive players. And when you lose a lot, it just feels bad. That's the nature of TCG. Sometimes it happens.
Yep. Speaking of
Anyway,
feels bad, I just spent $100 on Runeblade cards.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
prepping up for calling Chicago. Runeblades are pretty good, like really good in Living Legend. They're good in Classic Constructed, but they're really good in Living Legend. Like Aurora's
all
one
of
of the
them?
best aggro decks. Briar's probably the worst, but she's got a cool combo deck. And then Viscerai is like been up there as one of the kings of Living Legend for a while now after Rosetta came out.
Hmm.
So
How
I'll
is
definitely
Briar
be a
worse than
Runeblade
Aurora?
gamer at Calling Chicago.
How is Briar worse than Aurora?
Briar relies on like this like combo where she just draws a bunch of cards and plays that new regrowth shock to recur things and do that over and over again. Sometimes that just doesn't line up. Like you never get it. But Aurora is just always like every turn, equivalent of like a 0 for 4 or 0 or 1 card 4 or 1 card 5, just over and over and over and over again every turn, right? So even though Briar might have these more explosive turns, those clunky earth cards kind of junk her deck up. You ever draw 2 Autumn's Touch in one hand? You're just like, I guess I lose because we're playing Living Legend and I'm going to swing a 2 card 5 at some point in this turn. It's pretty bad.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
So luckily, I think Runeblade cards are pretty well priced on the market. I think it's like generics and stuff that are like crazy expensive right now. And I think card prices overall have been going down a bit, right, Noah?
Yes. Well, in some cases, I guess it really depends on well, I mean, it depends on what cards you want. So in general, like things like Felling the Crown, Plow Under, which we're going to talk about again, are going up yet again. Pretty much nothing's changed since the last time we talked in the market. Flamescale Furnace, your tomes, your draconic cards are seeing highs. You've got the earth cards. There are a couple of things we're going to talk about today that are a little different. But let's just go ahead and jump in. Plus, there's a little tidbit too that I want to talk about that isn't necessarily related to present card prices, but the market in general. It was a really cool video that MinMax put out, and I caught something in the middle of it that I wonder if other people really caught when he kind of said it. So it was interesting. I haven't listened to it again. We're going to need to get Mr. Peter on this at some point. Wonderful dude, love him. I'd give him all the dust plates I had. If I wasn't trying to collect them as well. If that card gets unbanned though, it's like the man. He's got to give me some steak dinner for the amount of dust plates he has, because if that card goes up, dude, he'd be able to retire off of the dust plates he has.
What's funny is Dustblade is actually kind of good in Living Legend because you can only have one Warmonger's Diplomacy in your deck in Living Legend. It's kind of bad in Classic Constructed because 3 Warmonger's Diplomacies means the blade just gets reset 3 times a game.
Well, there may have been a possibility in some small world for Duskblade to come off the ban list before Rosetta, but now that Rosetta's out, I don't see that happening. Never gonna happen.
It would be a tough one. It would be a tough one for sure.
I think it kind of creates one of those instances where like every deck has to run Warmonger's Diplomacy, because if you go up against like a fatiguey Duskblade, then you kind of feel bad.
They just stack counters on the Duskblade until they can swing for 30.
Yeah, well, I mean, you still have to commit cards, but you have a fridge, you block like with a defense reaction, you play a non-attack, actually play an attack, and then swing a Duskblade and just do that over and over again.
That is true.
Gross.
I think the card's fair. Like, they could unban it. It wouldn't bother me.
It says the Runeblade player.
I wouldn't even be playing it. Dude, Reaping Blade is broken.
Words that have never been said before in Flesh and Blood.
Dude, it's a 1-for-3 that has text on it. It's so good.
It is pretty dang good.
It's really
it really is.
Okay. Well, what cards are you looking at this week, Noah?
All right. Well, we already mentioned it. So Felly in the Crown's $50 right now, which I think is actually wild. I think Plow Under is like relatively right behind it. Both of them seem to just continuously go up. Obviously, Jarl gets to use Earth, I believe, if I'm remembering this correctly.
He does.
And so Plow Under is about 40. And so those both have just kept climbing. Probably 2 of the best Majestics out of Rosetta. Their Arsenal hate, their hand hate, they're up there with CNC as well as other cards. They're easier to do, I think, in my opinion. Obviously, they're not predicated off the card hitting. And they work well with the Earth cards, what they want in the Earth Heroes. Really good cards. I mean, Florian's not necessarily in the worst spot. Verdance, I think, still needs to be solved. But, I mean, you're all getting access to just be able to do that. And the way that deck is going to be more of a methodical, second cycle kind of beatdown deck. I mean, I feel like you're going to get the full potential of those cards. So it's not surprising to see those cards up. Just want to keep them on the radar, make sure everybody's understanding that Plow Under and Felling are solidifying themselves as very, very top Majestics. Now, that will change if Jarl sucks. I don't necessarily see him suck, though, because it is a reintroduction of Ice. So I actually only see it getting worse and or better, because if Verdance and Florian and Jarl are all good, they're all vying for Earth cards. So, and who knows what else comes down the pipeline with our 80,000 heroes we're going to have by the end of this year at this rate. I'm joking, by the way, but man, there's a lot of heroes. So just be on the lookout for those 2 cards. Other than that, I'm sure we've talked about some of these cards before, but Coronet Peak is up to $30 as a rainbow foil. I think that's actually wild. It was $5 some long time ago, which is funny because I remember giving a buddy of mine 2 of them, and he's at like $5 a piece, and he was like, I'm going to put these up here until they go up. It's like, yeah, I know, that's fine. And so he's getting the last laugh now, which is fun. That's how it works. But it's nice to see it.
I got to get one.
Nice to see Coronet Peak up there. The cold foil is up there as well, higher than I thought, actually. 57 for the cold foil, and there's only a few on there, so they're being actively bought right now. Might just be a high drive, people trying to grab things before Jarl, but you definitely want to get your Coronet Peak. It's really good equipment. Jarl's going to be able to block out and play that for disruption. I mean, I think so. In some matchups, you most likely will want to do that anyway.
I kind of
Still
like the
blocks for
ice
2.
hat he comes with in his deck. It's not bad. I mean, maybe you play both, but the Olin hat, whatever it's called, the ability to you block for 4, cover a breakpoint, and give a frostbite token. Who's that really good against? Aurora. Like, it's really good against Aurora, and she is like one of the premier aggro decks in the format. So while Cornet P can like occasionally steal a card turn after turn, I think being able to identify like one of Aurora's powerful turns and completely covering a breakpoint and shutting down by giving her the frostbite token is pretty good.
Do you think felling and or plow under may come back down at any point?
Yes.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think just in time it will. We're gonna talk a little bit about that, the min-max video, I think, which will kind of explain that as well, but it might open up a whole nother question too. So do I think it'll go back down? Yes. Do I think Flesh and Blood is still very meta dependent, and if it gets really good it gets higher, and if it gets really bad it gets lower? Well, yeah. And I don't know. I mean, card prices may all in general be going up, but we'll find. I'm telling you, we're going to talk about that. It's a good one. I don't want to spend too much time on the actual cards. I'll throw out a couple of suggestions too that you guys can speculate on. We're going to keep it generics though. I found a couple today that I really think so. But everything eventually goes down. In the near future though, no. I think as releases go out and Jarl gets played, like, the hype is going to ensue until the first major to see whether he has an impact.
Well, it's not just Jarl. I mean, Florian is also decent in CC, and Verdance is not terrible. She's not embarrassing to sleeve up. And those heroes are going to be legal for a long time. And if the price is already as high as it is, the price is just going to go up as the Earth heroes get better, right?
I think
there's slumps for all cards.
I think there's a shock price because it's a really new set, so it went pretty high to begin with, and then a third hero was printed that could use it. So I think there's a little bit of a shock in the price. I don't think it's going to go down a lot because it is a very good Majestic, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it go back to like $35 or $40 a piece.
Yeah, I definitely think that there's still slumps that will happen. Again, there are meta dips. I mean, from any given calling performance, things change at a whim, and people start dumping cards and moving into other things. Especially if you were a buy low, dump high kind of a thing, then you just dump it. Like, oh, I got my fillings at 20, sure, whatever. I'm done playing this deck. So they will go down. I think people are a little undecided right now about the top tier decks, and they might be until they see what crazy shenanigans are coming out in Hunted. I don't know. Bittering Thorns is on the radar yet again, I think, as one of the most expensive commons now ever in the game. I don't know. There might be a more expensive common. We're talking like a bear-based common. Now it isn't out of a normal set, so maybe you can't tell me that I can pick that common, but I'm going to anyway. It is almost a $20 common. Okay, I want you guys to understand that it is about $17 right now. In some cases, $18, $19 with shipping. We are a hair away from Bittering Thorns being $20. Bittering Thorn Red. Oh, yeah.
What?
Yes.
You could just buy a box of Round the Table.
Listen, we've had this conversation before.
How many times have we said that on this podcast?
So this is crazy.
It's always been like it's close to the value of a box of Round the Table. Now it actually is at the value of a box of
Round the Table's 40 something. So like $49.50 for Round the Table.
I think they're just going flat 40 most places that still have them.
So it's half of the price. Yes, you could just buy the Round the Table and get all the other goodies. And in some cases,
did you just say Bittering Thorns is almost 20 a card?
Or $20 a card.
So you get 2. That's 40.
Oh, wow. Wait, I get 2 per. What, dude? I have so many rounds that just. I've got so many behind me.
Crack those open and sell the Bittering Thorns.
Well, I will. That's the point. They're part of the pack cracks. They're working on. Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah. You open the box and be like, oh man, I wonder what we get in the box this time. Bittering Thorns.
Bittering Thorns. And don't forget about Civic Steps. It's in there too. And Boulder Drop.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know them all. I'm ready.
I'm pretty sure Jarl is playing Boulder Drop.
Yeah,
it's
not
good.
to mention all the Tech Lavasan stuff.
It's good free
Yay,
stuff.
Tech Love Awesome.
Crickets, just immediate crickets on the podcast. Okay.
I can't
I see
wait.
how it is.
I can't wait to watch a Jarl just one shot at Tech Love Awesome.
Ugh.
It's not even with Mangle either. It's with the like unconditional card. He just goes fuse ice and the Tech Love Awesome goes just like dies.
No, they've got fabricate.
They can't fabricate themselves.
Oh, right. So, yeah.
If the Jarl keeps his life total high
Okay.
and he flips in singularities and the doesn't kill him immediately, then he just goes bam and kills him.
Well, that was a game of flesh and blood.
What's funny is that he could even like blizzard the Jarl can blizzard the Tech Love Awesome when he tries to like do his big turn and maybe shut his turn down because he can't get go again.
That would get the Nitro Mech too, right?
Yes, you can just blow the Nitro Mechanoid up once it has -1 counter on it.
Poor Max. Just catching all the strays.
I don't even think he builds the Mechanoid. He never makes it there. His equipment gets destroyed beforehand. All right, what's next?
All right, so this is my favorite one. Okay, this is a card a long time ago that Donnie said it'd never be good. I don't know why it was printed. Lots of things, lots of really rude things.
I know what you're gonna say.
What, are you sure? Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
Does it have something to do? Does it have something to do with some wax on and then wax off in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, long time ago, it was told it was going to be bad, and I was thinking, I don't know about this. But wax on has been selling like hotcakes. The red card. It is not anywhere where we need to worry about. I just want you to know that over the last couple of weeks, 50, 60, 70, 80 have sold like lots of wax ons. People are wax on it. Wax off is now a $10 and $11 majestic. That is right. It is going up, up, up. Welcome to the wax on, wax off meta where your IRAs are going to block each other.
It's not even necessarily
it's not
IRA.
for IRA. But
So I can tell you the history of why this card went up in value.
this is good.
So it's because when Dash.io started getting good, people were trying to say what counters Dash.io, and it turns out Zen is pretty good at countering Dash.io because he's got all those mystic tools, including Dense Blue Mist, if you really wanted to attack heavily in Dash.io. And then people said, you know what's actually pretty good against Dash.io? Wax on, wax off. Because the card always blocks for 5, and the other ones, it's a blue. It's fine. And then they said, there's actually a couple matchups where those cards aren't terrible, like Aurora. Where if they try to have a big go turn and you wax on, wax off, and the only arc lightning that's dealing any damage is the first one. Because you've created a Zen state token, and now all those little arcane pings just don't come across anymore. So it's just a response to the meta. If you see a lot of 1 pings and 1 and 2 damage hits coming through, Zen state tokens are really, really powerful.
I mean, it just works.
So this is exactly the reason why I'm not the meta guy. Or I'm not the meta guy. I'm not the anything guy. I'm just a nerd sitting here talking about flesh and blood poorly. But I'm definitely not the market guy. I'm just gonna shut up and let Noah do his thing because my takes are obviously terrible when it comes to market stuff.
Everybody hates on bingo. It's still down. I got that one wrong for now at least. But don't
I need
worry
to get me some
about it.
bingos because I'm not gonna call you wrong again, man.
Bingo's an arbitrary one, but you do not have to buy that. Vipox I stand by though.
The only way I can think of bingo being good is if it's exactly like a hero that says if a card had multiple modes, you get both. That's the only way I could ever see bingo being good. Is if a hero had that text on it.
96 sets down the road when the hero comes out, guess who's winning, baby?
E-Strike would be
bingo.
Really good.
The most broken card in the game. Oh my goodness.
Just bingo.
Can you imagine for E-Strike for 7 draw card go again? Woo!
So
let it be. It's got to be Mystic though. That way it can play levels too.
Oh yeah. Mystic heroes need way more tools.
Right, because then they get access to traverse on that too, and they get to have a cheat effect.
Exactly.
What if it was a cheat pitch that if they play a mode card they get to do it? So it's based off of that.
Ooh.
They still wouldn't play bingo.
I mean,
But
maybe.
it's both, and it blocks for 3, I think, and it's a 1 cost, and it's a 5.
Let's not talk about bingo when we're talking about cards people actually want to buy and sell.
So, with all that done, speculation-wise, Tenacity, Dishonor, okay? I know Dishonor is not necessarily a generic, but I promise you $3 is criminal. Try and get those low.
If Tenacity is cheap right now, I agree. People should pick up a few of
Tenacity
those.
is about $1 a piece right now. There's no
What?
guy, like, I don't want to be the reason why this happens, okay?
Everyone should be picking up 3 of these.
But Tenacity is criminally low for what it is. You have to understand that Tenacity, we're going into a dual wielding meta. I hope everybody understands what that means. A dual wielding meta with draconic warriors, draconic ninjas, draconic assassins. The chains are going to be off the Richter scale. If anti ninjas in the meta, if Aurora, think of all these combat chain, you're getting free value. If you're playing that type of play style, people are going to block you. Ira's coming out. Ira's going to block almost every chain. She's got flick flacks for days. What beats flick flacks? The Tenacity right at the end for like 8.
Well, it's more of like if you're a deck that has a go turn, which for what we know about the new Draconic Ninja and Phi, sometimes they're just like, yep, it's go turn. We're throwing it all here. We're busting our gear. If you're playing against a Guardian and they're like, okay, I'm going to give a 2 block off gear here, a 2 block off gear here, a 1 block off gear here, and on and on and on, then Tenacity gets insane value. You connect with 1 hit, you break Masks, Pouncing Links, and go grab it and swing for 8 or 9. It did lose a lot of its value when Art of War got banned, because you can't quite go as wide. And right now, Tigers aren't really in, but Phi racks up some Tigers every once in a while. Unban Stubby Hammers, right? And Phi's super good again.
No, don't ever do that. Don't do that.
Just unban them.
Yeah, I think everyone should pick up a set of Tenacities. Usually you don't even run 3, but might as well just have 3. It's a good card.
I agree.
Very good card.
It's on there. All right, now a way to take us sort of away from the market, but still keep us in it. In that min-max, talk about the market from the LGS kind of look, which is really cool. Mentioned a couple of things. One, Rosetta didn't kind of fall off in terms of orders after the big pre-release type of thing, at least from what he said. So that means that a lot of people still buying Rosetta. Rosetta has quite a good bit of product in it. The prices on Rosetta are actually staying higher. In some cases, it might just be that the heroes have had a bigger splash than maybe the other ones, but they're good.
I was going to say, I think the heroes have done well, but if you've noticed, LSS has tried to schedule more major tournament limited events after the release of the set. Because we just had a limited calling last weekend. So people are still wanting to buy product, crack open packs, and play in paper drafts practice.
Yeah. I mean, set's good. Set has a lot of good cards. The Marvels are beautiful. Like tons of Marvel chases, right? I think we've seen an increase in the amount of Marvels now in the last set with Rosetta and with Miss Veil. I think was a big Marvel reveal, and I want to say Heavy really didn't have. Heavy had Marvels, but Mist introduced Marvels on other things other than just heroes, right? And then I think Rosetta carried on with the sigils.
Uprising had them.
Yeah, Durgans.
Yeah.
Right.
And then Dustle Dawn had the angels. So they had it in other places.
Yeah, but also Dynasty with the weapons, the Sandscour and the...
the blackout weapons. I love those so much.
The amount of Marvels they've been dumping out has been quite extensive, okay?
Yeah, it's increasing. No argument there, but...
Bright lights.
When you got Mr. Peter, who tells me, I listen, that the LSS is going to take a stance in protecting sort of the integrity of the game in terms of pricing on MSRP. He mentioned MSRP was going up, okay, to kind of increase the overall, I guess, lifespan and or longevity and or sort of collectability of the cards. Kind of pretty much to me made it sound like, and he mentioned, not really verbatim, that Hunted was going to have some very expensive cards in terms of the Marvels and in terms of the MSRP increase, that we might see an era where things get more expensive, but the things coming out of them are going to be wild.
So
And
is
that's
that,
what I got from it.
when you say it's more expensive, on average, a player is going to pay more per pack.
Either per pack or per box, yes.
Oh, same thing.
But yes, that the box prices at release are going to start at a higher MSRP. I mean, they're going to be higher. They're just going to come out naturally higher. So if something is higher, the contents in it will naturally just have a higher value for the most part. It's going to make those Marvels extra crazy spicy, and I just assume there's probably going to be some crazy like, who knows, we might even be in like alternate Marvel art land where you're going to have like the real chase, you know what I mean? Like there's like the Marvels, but then there's like the Marvel, because like, not like what Pokemon does, but I don't know. I'm curious as to, he did say that these are going to have some of the most expensive cards, if not the most expensive cards. And I think that's a pretty bold claim. And it might just be from the MSRP, and it might be from what's going to be inside.
I kind of understand LSS perspective here, that they're being very transparent with the MSRP. Because, well, okay, let's say LSS says, okay, printing's more expensive because of economy factors. We don't make as much money, like real currency. The buying power of the currency we're making isn't as good. So naturally, we just need to increase price a little bit. However, when they increase prices, if it looks like from a perspective of the store has now increased their prices, the store looks like maybe they're the bad guys. But if LSS is super transparent, said, guys, this is what we just need to push the boxes up to in order to maintain our business, it doesn't look bad on the LGS, and everyone kind of comes to understanding. And any rational adult understands things will get progressively more expensive over time. That's just the nature of inflation, right? So,
yeah, it's just unfortunate because on a personal level, I don't have a lot of free income, and what I do, I try to scrimp and get my cases where I can. I skipped Rosetta completely, but I picked up a case of Misty and I picked up a case of Bright Lights. I may pick up a box here or there, but the MSRP is going up like 20 or $25, right?
I don't know.
Am I wrong there? It's going up to like 120?
Let's see. Maybe I can grab that.
No, in any case, it's adding an extra 15 to $20 per box, so it's going to be like an extra 60 to $80 per case. And for somebody in my situation, that's significant. I mean, it's going to make it a little bit harder to get the bulk that I'm looking for and to get that first initial collection of stuff. So I understand it, but that doesn't make it palatable. Is that the word?
Yeah, I mean, can understand.
It's still a tough pill to swallow.
It suddenly changes the amount of budget you're putting into your hobby.
Exactly. And limited, that's one of the reasons why I don't care for limited, is because I don't want to buy packs all the time.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah, limited entry is costing you $20 instead of 10, right?
Exactly. 20 or 25.
I mean, Flesh and Blood is pretty expensive. Like, I think I'm going to say TCGs in general are pretty expensive. Like, for example, this isn't necessarily the fairest comparison because Florian runs quite a few expensive cards like Command and Conquer and stuff. But if you were to want to buy my Florian list right now, guess how much you have to pay for it? The cheapest on TCG Player, lowest of everything, $1,112 to buy my 80 of Florian. So that's like unverified sellers, lowest rarities, and so on. You're looking at $1,100 to buy into Florian. And I know there's a lot of heroes that you get for much cheaper. You can kind of get most of their working parts for around the $200 or $300 range, but Flesh and Blood is a pretty expensive hobby.
It is. And now it's going to be a little bit more expensive going forward.
Especially if you enjoy limited.
Yeah. So it's understandable, but I'm still going to gripe about it. At least to myself.
I mean, griping is important. That kind of feedback does help affect the pushing down prices, right? If everyone said, yum, yum, eat them up, I want to give you more money, they'll be like, okay, well, we'll keep increasing it until people stop saying yum yum, right?
Yeah.
So everyone's feedback is important. Anyway, any other cards?
It's not a bad thing. No, that was it. I just wanted to get us talking about the greater world of Flesh and Blood. But MSRP going up, not necessarily the worst thing. Card prices get higher. I mean, for a collectability standpoint, it doesn't hurt. For a player standpoint and accessibility standpoint, it does hurt. But if there's tons of accessible, like crazy cards that are at a reasonable price, then you just buy singles. I think they're trying to protect, and I think Rudy did another thing on this as well. The amount of investment in opening a pack versus what you get. I think Flesh and Blood, he did the results, actually has a great ratio where you can, like, Flesh and Blood isn't a buy and keep sealed, where like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, things like that, Magic, you can do that with. Flesh and Blood, you can actually buy and open and not lose all your money.
I will say this. Let's say that you're committed to Flesh and Blood. That's your hobby, but you want to be as efficient on money as possible. I would say in general, if you like to buy full play sets, you should be reaching out to Hammurabi TCG. Like,
absolutely,
that guy does like the math, and he tries to be the fairest possible. So, and he's good at it too. He somehow manages to make money. But if you look at what you pay for like a full set of Majestics or a full set of foils or a full set of whatever that you're buying from that set, it's always dramatically cheaper than buying the singles all separate later on. Like, you always save a ton of money. So when Hunt comes out, you should already be looking at what Hammurabi says the prices are going to be, and consider just buying a full set from them if that's like what you're going to do. Buying the set one card at a time off TCG Player is a ripoff, and we already know trying to nail everything off of buying sealed products is a ripoff.
I mean, and not just that, it's just so easy to just send him a list on Facebook, and he picks it out by hand and then sends you the entire package at one time instead of getting 20 packages from TCG Player.
Right. Yeah.
That is my biggest gripe with TCG Player.
Even if you paid like more, he can give you such a good deal as well, because he ships less, so it's all one time rather than shipping like 400 different people one card. So I mean, it makes perfect sense. I would much rather ship 4,000 cards to one area than 4,000 cards to one card to 4,000 different areas. It would drive me nuts. And you have to factor in the logistics behind all of that, and the time. So no, it's always the best case. You kind of just, like you said, do I want to get some sealed product and open it? Okay, but if my goal is I want to like collect and or have that for playability, just get the play set.
Yeah.
Get the full complete set, and you just go from there.
Hashtag not an ad, by the way. But Hammurabi
he's
TCG is
dude,
great.
He's sweet.
Anyone miss their really cheesy commercial that used to show up on the streams all the time?
You're talking about the one with
where he's crushing the eye of Ophidia and selling it like a bag of meth.
It's good stuff.
All right. As far as things that happened in the past weekend in Flesh and Blood, we had a calling in Florence and a battle hardened in Columbus. Calling Florence was picked up by Jacob Clements. It was a limited calling. Won it with Verdance. I think it was a big spell Verdance. I could check real quick. They actually, Flesh and Blood has been really cool about making sure the top 8 deck lists end up on the site. Quick scan through. Yeah, very much focused on just playing big spells. Not a single red attack. So
maybe I've been feeling less invested because there's been less CC events on the radar for this week or two. That might be it.
Yeah, there has been. I think there's also that like post-event depression that you feel like after a big events like Worlds, where things kind of slump down a bit. And I'm sure like Mansant is the main person creating the big tournament content right now. And I'm sure when he does stuff that big, you also don't necessarily want to zoom off and cover a calling or a battle hardened, especially if it's like in Europe and your home base is in North America.
Yeah.
Let's see. Notable players. Buddy that I hang out with quite often, Jason Rolfe, got 5th. He was first seed going into it, so he had a fantastic showing. Brody was there. Nice. He placed 3rd. Also, every time I see Francesco's name, he's almost always in top 8, so that, or close to top 8. That dude's crushing it recently. Battlehorn Columbus. really funny. You guys should go to the page for that, because instead of like showing his hero and his gold foil together like most people do, dude is holding up a yellow piece of paper that says free Katsu. That's really funny to me. That was Dan Gross close, probably mispronouncing his name really badly. To beat a Living Legend tournament on Zen. Not very surprising, considering the finals was against Christopher Ayali, another great player that you see his name pop up a lot. He was on Viserai, and if anyone knows about that matchup, it's kind of cursed most of the time. The Viserai says, I have a bunch of rune chants, I'm going to swing at you. And the Zen goes, that's cool, break my chest. Put a Zen state token out. Now for the next 2 turns, your rune chants don't do anything.
Guess who's taking 2 off turns?
Interestingly enough, I think there was another Zen. Yeah, I think the semifinals was Zen v Viserai for both. And the Christopher Iali beat a Zen in the semifinals, which is pretty surprising. The way that works is you basically have to like give them just enough incentive to break the chess piece. And then you just make a bunch of rune chants for the rest of the next turn and come back in on him afterwards. And hopefully he doesn't just draw a bunch of gas. Top 8 there was 2 Zen, 2 Viserai, 1 Aurora, 1 Starvo, and 2 Chain. So Aurora, brand new hero, already being like a major Living Legend contender. She's very consistent.
She's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, consistency is good, right?
I think it's pretty interesting that when Living Legend first came out, like the only heroes that you'd even consider playing were like Living Legend heroes and Kano. But now we're consistently seeing heroes that are still legal in Living Legend being very playable, like Zen and Aurora.
So where is Phi right now in Living Legend? I mean,
Bad Aurora.
Really? Even with stubbies?
I think so. I can go see. I can maybe go try to find if anyone made a spreadsheet of total performances across the weekend. But he clearly didn't make top 8, and I haven't heard any like hype for running Phi in Living Legend.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're gonna do the stubbies thing. Zen's probably just better at it, right?
Stubby Zen is disgusting. Like, if you ever transcend with your sacred art and you make those 2 tigers, the Stubby's turn is just wild, right? Because you get at least 3 tigers, right? Because you're going to also use your hero power. So your Stubbies is already getting 3 points of value on that break alone, and then you're doing things like throwing Belittle, so it's hitting Belittle, right? Because the Stubbies hit 2 or 3. I think it's 3.
3 or less.
Yep. So Belittle is getting the benefit of it, aspect of Tiger Body. Aspect of Tiger Body basically comes in as a 0 for 5 or 1 card 5 because it makes a tiger as well as getting benefited from stubbies. Yeah, it's really good.
I guess Phi is just not gonna have his day in the sun until January 31st ish.
Dude, what's how many points is he at now? Let's see. Game, Living Legend. I really think that he lasts maybe 2 events after Hunted comes out. Like, he's so close. He's at 796. The deck seems so good. It's like almost there.
I feel like if he got anything, he'd race on off into the sunset.
You just give him a couple of Draconic cards and he just zooms away. But looking at the leaderboards now, he won like a Pro Quest. That's it. He got 10 points this season. He might be one of the lowest performing heroes. He is. That's really wild. Of like heroes that you would consider maybe playable, the only ones that did worse than Phi is Katsu, obviously, Kasai,
Goose eggs.
Reinar, Teklavossen, Arachne, Olympia, Betsy, and then tied with Azuri. Azuri only picked up 10 points this season as well. Funny, considering she just won Pro Tour.
Won Worlds. Well, in the Worlds, yeah.
I wonder if... That's interesting. Phi wins Worlds. Phi becomes the laughing stock of the game.
Yep.
Uzuri wins the Pro Tour. Uzuri disappears completely from the meta.
Yep, completely.
Enigma wins Worlds. immediately
Continues
Count Your
to win
Blessings
everything.
Blue gets banned. So are the winning decks being punished? Is that what the trend we're seeing here?
But
Is
nothing
Blue
got
Count Your
banned
Blessings?
from Phi. I think a really good player who's just a hero specialist played it, navigated, got a little bit lucky in gem, went through the finals, which was supposed to be not a great matchup, and still crushed it. And then the Azuri pick was just good for that meta. And again, you had someone who is a bit of a specialist on assassins, Shoma, dedicated to the deck and really showed what the deck could do, especially against Zen and Nu, right? But she didn't get anything banned either.
Yeah, in fact,
but
probably get some more cards.
Zen lost some cards, which made Zen worse, and then Enigma got better, which makes Azuri way worse.
Yeah.
I really think it's just a balancing act of hero matchups, right? So that we see this ebb and flow, which is interesting that you do have that ebb and flow despite cards not getting banned.
Yeah, but there's some heroes that have been forever on ebb. So when is their flow?
Yeah, I mean, everybody
like,
was expecting Dash IE
where's
to
Reinhardt's flow? Like, do we not get Reinhardt flow until the next Brute set?
I mean, they printed a great card for him. Like, I don't know
they printed a whole set for him.
Yeah,
Heavy Hitters was not that long ago.
And Splatter Skull, what that they added for him recently, that card is actually really great for Reinhardt. It steals a card. It's good. But
it's actually weird to think about. I said Heavy Hitters was not that long ago, but it's almost been a year at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost been a whole year since Heavy Hitters came out. Wow, it's crazy. Time flies, man.
It is a little depressing to see some of these heroes that were like so ubiquitous across the meta. Like Kasai got 336 living legend points in her first season and has not picked up a single point in Rosetta season. Not a single point. Wild. Someone didn't accidentally win a pro quest with Kasai.
It's hard out there for the duo. It just doesn't the silver's not enough of a threat, and there's no way you're outvaluing some of these decks. I mean, I don't think it's potentially bad, but like, how are you going to do it? There's too much width right now in the meta now.
Are all the heavy hitter heroes extremely underperformed? KO picked up 682 points basically in his first season, maybe with a little bit into Misfail season. Only picked up 50 points this season. It's really interesting. Misfail was a little strong, if you guys have noticed.
It also goes back to the dilution of the pool issue. The more heroes get added, the wider the points get spread around, and the harder it is for anybody to accumulate that 1,000, because they will continue to spread around as more heroes keep coming in. Something's got to change, and I'm looking forward to hearing what that solution is, because I don't have ideas.
I mean, they definitely need to, if they're not thinking about it, they got to figure out a way to potentially cap the amount of new heroes. But then, like, what do you do for newer sets? Like, do you make newer cards and use older heroes?
You could occasionally you could occasionally do what they did with Outsiders, right? Where they reprinted Azalea. Like, you don't have to add a brand new hero every set.
No, but I'm saying, like, I think that's fine. I think that's the way it should be. But like, when do they do it? Because like the pool is just growing and growing.
Well, the trouble is they've planned out so far out in advance already, and the sets are already like ready to be printed. So we're not gonna see the changes anytime soon. It's gonna be an issue for a little bit later down the road. Whatever they put into place now is gonna be fixed later. So we're not gonna. It's gonna be worse before it's better.
Huge Fab's gonna have some Yu-Gi-Oh problems at some point. Okay, I keep telling you this, but it will. The deeper the card pool goes, the harder it is to balance. The deeper the hero pool goes, the harder it is to make it a game where you really feel like your hero has an identity. I mean, I'm telling you right now, if you're a Reinhardt player, you feel awful. And I know it's not always going to be like rainbows and happiness, but like you feel unplayable, and you're still sort of getting help. But like, I don't know. I feel like the intimidate mechanic is just a design flaw. And I don't know how they fix that hero unless they just completely change him. because I think it's a wild design flaw. I think this game is supposed to give you agency both ways, in the cards you're blocking and the cards that you're, in most cases. And Reinhardt literally just says, some turns you won't get to block, so I hope you enjoy those. Now, there's a trade-off for that, but I don't know. It just it feels rough. It feels rough. I'm not even speaking from a Dory perspective, because I think Dory's always just there, just C tier there.
I think I want to say mostly the game is probably at the vision Living Legend wants it to be at. They want a diverse hero pool, and if you look at the full spread, a lot of heroes did pick up points here and there, right? So that means they're not unplayable, though they're probably not optimal. So I would say it's in a good place, but we have 31 playable heroes.
But playable insofar as can take a pro quest isn't playable as insofar can take worlds. Because like if this is a competitive game, then playability has two different meanings.
Only 600-ish people play in worlds out of the full population of people who play Flesh and Blood. But I would say probably a large portion of Flesh and Blood players visit at least one PQ per PQ season.
Okay, but those big events, the Worlds meta, the Pro Tour metas, those will impact the local armory scenes. Because this is a competitive game and people want to play the competitive and best decks. It's going to trickle down into the armories.
Right, but then player skill takes over in that, because there's ceilings and floors for everything.
I'll challenge that. We didn't see anyone play CYB Enigma in any of our armories, even before the blue CYB ban.
We've got
everybody hand shook CYB out of the local meta.
Listen, we all know,
and I was made to feel horrible for even talking about bringing CYB to our local armory. It's anybody who brings CYB to an armory is trolling.
I won't have a problem with it. And it was really funny. Like when I played Dash.io, if a new was running CYB, I'm like, that's a bunch of non-blocks you got in your deck. These boom grenades be hitting hard. Okay. I don't know. I'm pretty happy overall with the meta. I think anything is better than the Zen meta, honestly. So
yeah, I got no complaints there. I mean, I was eating pretty good in the Zen meta, but yeah, it's because I'm a new sim.
You're assassin, yeah. Anyway, I think that's all I've got for this week.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Oh, the league that means nothing. Yeah, I want to talk about that.
Oh, yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm going to be playing in the league that means nothing. Of course, I'm going to be playing new. Count Your Blessings is banned completely in that format, in that tournament, so I'm not going to get to play CYB new. I'm just going to probably do something weird, like maybe polish up this Pummel new list that I've kind of been tinkering with, or maybe an all blue, nothing but blue stuff. Just something weird.
Good.
I mean, that's the whole. There's nothing on the line, nothing but bragging rights, and even those are sketchy. I mean, it's going to be a good time. It's going to be like I think there's 52 players or 53 players total at this point.
Yeah, I was about to say, did they open up a slot for Nathan to play Arachne?
I believe so. Or somebody switched off of that. I think we might have actually gotten every playable hero in Classic Constructed into the tournament at this point. And in the Discord that's set up for it, everybody was starting to really be concerned about 4 news for some reason, because there's 4 of us that play news. But anyway, it's going to be a good time. It's going to be starting sometime around December. It's going to be a webcam-based league. We're going to record our games, and then I guess Az is going to post it on Go Again Gaming. So if you're interested in that, definitely look for me. Don't know if I'll actually be featured on there, but I will be playing in the tournament.
Yeah, we'll help you laugh.
That's super cool.
Do you get to know your matchups since you're locked into your hero? Do you get to know your matchups beforehand?
Well, the way it's going to work is they're going to let everybody know what their pairings are for the week, and then you have to coordinate with your opponent to set up your game at some point during the week, because it's a webcam game. So you have to figure it out. So yes,
you will know your opponent.
Oh, and your deck list is locked at the start of the tournament?
Incorrect. We can change our cards anytime.
What?
Yeah, well, that was the idea. I don't know if it's actually going to work like that in theory, because if I know who my opponent is, I'm an assassin. I've got a toolbox for everything. I could be a troll and just
they're going to do the same thing to you, and they're going to put the crappiest blues possible. I think it'll be really funny, but like I don't mind that format as long as everyone knows that's what it is, because then you have like perfect decks versus perfect decks for each other, which is funny. Well,
it's
when's your
supposed
first
to
game?
be a good time. I think it's gonna be a first one. I don't know yet.
Okay.
They haven't made any announcement yet. I think The idea, I
Was
think what they're
close.
waiting for is Jarl to come out, because we had like 3 or 4 people say that they were going to play Jarl for the event
Mm-hmm.
or for the tournament. So it's going to be, we're waiting for that before we get any of the first pairings. So I don't know who it's going to be. I don't know what hero there's going to be, but there's people from literally all over the planet. It's going to be awesome.
So it'll probably kick off in
That sounds
December
super
then.
cool.
All
Yeah,
right.
sometime I think December 2nd. I think that's what we're looking for.
Oh, I know a lot of our locals are going to Calling Portland, so good luck to them. I know for sure. I think it's Chris Martin, Andrew Cook, Jeremy Chen, Andrew Lorenz. I'm pretty sure are all going to Calling Portland. William Bradshaw,
Nice.
I think, is there too.
Cool.
So
Go out there and kick some butt, guys. Bring it back for Georgia.
Yeah, we need a trophy. We've had too many
Mhm.
top 8s and not enough trophies. Bring it home.
But good luck to you guys. That's what I'm sure that's what we'll be talking about next week. Hopefully we'll have someone as a guest to talk about their top 8 or even winning the event.
Yeah, that would be great. I can totally see it happening. Our guys are great.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Noah, you got anything else for us, buddy?
Not yet. Not yet. I will tell you that Pummel belongs in every deck, but that's a setup for later. So
Okay. So where can everybody find you, buddy?
So actually, really, twitch.tv/BigMax. I actually streamed WoW. I know I streamed WoW before I streamed Fab. I finally figured out how to get back to my original Twitch and keep it separate from the YouTube, because for the longest time it was like I just had to sign out. Like, it's some days are really long. Okay, I was like, it's not working, and we figured it out. But I was hoping to do some more things on there as well. Box breaks, things like that. I don't know. If it's Flesh and Blood related, I will keep it obviously to the YouTube channel. But twitch.tv/BigMax, I'll be doing some random things there, as well as at BigMaxFab on Twitter and at BigMax on Blue Sky.
Okay. Thomas, what about you, man?
Yeah, you can find me at What the System on Blue Sky, at With System Fab on Twitter, and What the System pretty much everywhere on Discord. Feel free to reach out to me if you got any questions about the plethora of heroes I've been playing or what I'm up to. DMs are always open.
Yeah, and you're pretty easy to find in the Card Guys Discord, right?
Yep. I'm basically
He's
in the
there.
channel doing the equivalent of shit posting every evening.
Okay. We talked about something last night. Do you want to mention that here? Like, put the feelers out, see if people are interested in the hangout that you mentioned.
Oh, like the us versus you stream?
Yeah.
I would be interested in that. Let me kind of formulate what I think it should be, but I really want to try to like put a little bit of structure into having like the 8 people sitting in channel all making fun of the one person playing Flesh and Blood on Talishar. That's something that actually just ends up happening a lot. You'll have one person streaming into the channel and everyone just giving him crap. So
yeah, it's good though, because you learn a lot. But
it's really rowdy.
If you're the guy making the wrong plays, oh man, it's good. It's
Probably
a good time.
feels bad. I don't know if my my gameplay could stand up to that kind of scrutiny.
You just gotta you just gotta take it as people just, you know, cutting at you, like not cutting at you to be mean, but just, you know, they're goofing.
Hey, get better. Yeah. I know. All right. As far as I'm concerned, I am Draco Hominus 87 everywhere social media is sold. I am on Blue Sky, Twitter, Discord, Facebook. You won't find me there as Draco Hominus, but I'm still not hard to find. Writing for Card Gamer now. The -IO deck I wrote about has been posted. I'm not sure what my next deck is going to be, and I've got to figure that out this weekend because I think I've got an article due on Sunday, so I got to figure that out soon.
Is it CC budget?
Yes, CC budget.
I mean,
still trying to stick somewhere around $100.
Maybe you could do
if
Jarl
possible.
upgrades, right? You spend $50 on the Jarl deck. What other $50 do you spend?
Oh man, that's gonna be a hard one. CC. Azalea's another decent one because I feel like the armory deck's okay, but man, anything you add to that deck is wildly expensive. It used to not be, but man, like you can't even add premeditates or Seeker Destroyers anymore without paying $1 million. Remorseless is $1 million. It's all about $1 million. It's wild. And Skullbone Crossrup's actually the most modestly priced legendary. It's wild to me, but everything else
Card games be expensive.
Is eons.
Yeah, $100 may be unrealistic for the series, but I'm going to try to stick to that for as long as possible until it's just obvious that $100 budget is not going to cut it.
Now maybe like $200. You can
There's
get
a lot more
everything
room
in
that you can do.
Azalea except the Codex of Frailties.
And Codex,
And
is
that's
pretty good,
actually
but
true.
And what website did you say you're on now?
Card Gamer. It was fabric.gg, but it's the website is Card Gamer. I think it's cardgamer.com. I don't know. I've been through the
Ooh.
WordPress. I haven't actually been to the site.
Do you save money if you open up a pack of cards and get it? Does that count? Because you start cracking packs.
I mean,
Buy a $70 Codex of Frailty, $4 pack Outsiders in a Dream.
buy a box of Outsiders and pray.
Does that count? Does that count as a $100 upgrade? Buy the Armory deck and a box of Outsiders and say, there you go, there's your Azalea upgrades. Because that's seriously what it'll be.
That's not. I'm not going to say that's a bad strategy. That is a strategy you can employ.
that is a way to spend money. That's true.
Mhm.
All right.
We open up packs
we'll
of
see.
cards.
But
here.
anyway,
I love it.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. We hope you enjoyed catching up with us this week. And if you did, subscribe or follow, depending on where you found us, to catch us again next time. Until then, take care of yourselves and remember, we are all siblings in cardboard.
I told you it was a setup. Just like Pummel goes in every deck, every Pummeled card goes in the graveyard. I promise you it does. Just like Plow Under goes underneath the deck. You do it. You do it yourself too. You got an arsenal.
Yeah,
Plow
but
Under it.
Phantasmaclasm, when you play it, it goes in your discard, not on the bottom
Right.
of your deck.
You don't exile it and then move the pitch.
So
Don't
is
do
the
any of
point
that
just
weird
read your
stuff.
cards. Just read your cards. And
Reading the card explains the card, right?
Just read them and do them. How hard is it? But seriously,
right.
do it.
Good night, everybody.